What is going on, YouTube? Working on another custom today, and today I'm working on this Dodge Mirada Stocker. Check this out. I really like this casting, but obviously this one is in pretty rough shape, showing signs of being very well played with. The wheels, unfortunately, especially being the gold Hot One wheels, don't spin. Hopefully I can fix that and maybe salvage these, as those gold Hot One wheels are very nice to have, especially if you plan on racing these diecast cars. And this windshield, which kind of looks like yellow, is actually supposed to be clear. So I got a lot of work on my hands with this one. This is a metal on metal car and was released in 1981. It was produced from 1981 to 1985 and was designed by none other than Larry Wood. This one, though, was released in 1982 and was part of the Hot Wheels Hot Ones series. So very cool. I've already taken the liberty of drilling out the posts, so let's get this all taken apart and see what the inside of this looks like. I'm actually kind of scared to open this up, but to drill out this post, there's only one post on here, and the front is actually being held in by the metal bumper, which is kind of cool. But to drill these out, I first use a 9/64 drill bit to drill out the post. Then to make my hole for the screw, I use a 1/16 drill bit. And the screws I use are the 2x56 button head screws that are self-tapping. So the first couple cars I made, I used a tap, but quickly found out that, for me anyway, that only complicates things, and I actually had more issues using the tap than just drilling. And so I don't use a tap on mine, I just use the screws, and I've never had a problem. But let's get this thing taken apart and see what we're dealing with here. Oh man, look at that. That is nasty. No wonder it's not rolling. The wheels and everything are kind of rusted and gunked up. I don't think I'm going to be able to save these, unfortunately. And it looks like there's some paper or something in there. And let's see. Oh man, this actually looks like it was played outside a little bit. Interior's kind of crusty and gunked up. And oh, look at this windshield. That is in pretty rough shape. Hopefully I can save it and get this thing a whole new lease on life. The actual body looks pretty good. It looks like most of this stuff is just scratches in the paint. Nothing really digging into the die cast or anything like that. And the pillars on the window and doors and roof appear pretty straight and solid. So I think I have a pretty good foundation to work with here. And let's get going. First things first, let's strip the paint off of here. As usual, I'm using Citrus Strip stripping gel to remove the paint. This Citrus Strip does a fantastic job, especially on these older castings with the older paint and not having that clear coat. On some of the newer castings, Hot Wheels actually has a pretty good clear coat on there, and it takes a while for the Citrus Strip to get through it, but it'll eventually do it. But usually take a brush, probably something you're not worried about damaging or ruining, because this stuff can mess up these paint brushes. And going over everything on here, I put a pretty good amount. I like getting the inside of the car and just making sure there's a pretty thick coat all around the car. Make sure I get all that paint off there. So there we go. The Citrus Strip is all on it, and just let that sit for a while, and we'll come back when it's time to take all that paint off. Alright, looks like the Citrus Strip cut in there really fast. This has only been on there for about 4 minutes, and check that out. Cuts in there really well. Like I was saying earlier, the citrus strip does a great job, especially on these older paint jobs. I think we're in a good spot here. I'm gonna go wash it all off, and we'll be right back. After washing it and making sure all the citrus strip was off of there, found that the body was in really good shape, so I didn't have to spend a whole lot of time trying to smooth it out. And I went right into primer. So I used Krylon Color Max Paint and Primer Metallic Aluminum. I love this stuff, and it works really well. And my next step was to add the paint, which was the Duplicolor Metal Cast Anodized Coating, and I went with blue with this one. I really love this paint, and it looks really, really good in the sunlight, as you can see there. As the body of the car dries, let's take a look at this base. Oh man, this is not good. So for these ones anyway, the wheels and axles are held in a little bit differently than what's on your regular Hot Wheel. But if you wanted to know why the gold Hot Ones wheels were so good, because the material they use for the axles is very, very thin. I don't know if you can see that. And mounting them in there the way they do helps prevent them from bending. I mean, they're still pretty susceptible to bending, but this is a better way to hold them in there. I think I'm gonna have to cut them out. So let's see. So it's not the prettiest, but got it out of there. And look at these. These are nasty. I don't think there's going to be anything I can do to really save them, unfortunately. But, oh well, I was planning on doing a wheel swap anyway. So, now time to cut out the front. And just like that, oh yeah, these have definitely seen better days. I may save the wheels and maybe do a axle tube or something on them, but these are in rough shape. So anywho, not too bad. That's the best way to get wheels out of a metal base, is to use that little cutter. So there we go. I'm gonna have to spend a lot of time cleaning this up. So I got the base all cleaned up and it's looking pretty good. I ended up going over it with some rubbing compound and then some metal polish and then sandpaper to kind of smooth out some of the little nicks and dings that were in it. I still wasn't real happy with how it turned out. I guess you can soak these bases in lime away for a while and that'll get all the corrosion off of them. Unfortunately, I don't have any lime away. So I ended up going over it with some Krylon Color Max Paint and Primer Metallic Aluminum, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I really like using this paint, and if you've seen any of my other videos, you know I use it quite a bit, and I use it for my primer for my paints, and I'm really happy with it. So this is all ready for some wheels, but before that, let's start working on this glass. As you can see, the glass looks like it's in pretty rough shape. I went over it with some soap and water, got all the dirt off of, and fortunately, there's not many scratches or nicks or dings in it. Just kind of this yellow oxidized tint to it. So let's see if I can clean this up a little bit better. And check this out. Oh man, I was able to clean it up pretty good. I wasn't able to get that yellow tint off of it, but that yellow tint will actually go with my paint job. So I'm not too upset with it. I couldn't get everything out of it. There's still a couple nicks in there and everything, but it looks 100% better than what it did. So I ended up using Flux to polish the plastic. This stuff is fantastic. Works on metal, plastic, and fiberglass, and it did a really good job. This is my first time using it, and I'm very happy with it. After using the flux, I rinsed it off with some soap and water, and then I used Glass Coat Gauzy Agent. This stuff is fantastic. That's what really made it look clear, and all you do is dunk it in there and just kind of take off the excess and let it sit, and you end up with something like this. So there you have it. Really happy with how that came out, and I think it's finally time to put this car all back together. All right, let's get this thing put together. So here's the base, and actually for the first time went with some axle tubes. I didn't show it on camera just because it was my first time, and it was kind of a mess. Just for the record, I do not like axle tubes, but I'll play around with this some more and maybe get better at it. So that's all set. The interior, I couldn't go with that beige color. It was pretty awful. So again, I used the metallic aluminum paint, and I think it looks pretty awesome. And our glass. All right, let's see how it all came together. Oh yeah, check that out. Very cool. I'm really happy with the way this all came together. And I had a hard time finding some wheels for this thing, but I came across these, and I really like them. And I like that there's still some yellow. The original paint color of this car was yellow, and I like that there's still some yellow in the paint. So very cool. Very happy with how it all came together. And yeah, let's go take a few closer looks at this thing. Here's what we started out with, a very well played with Mirada Stocker. And here's how it turned out. I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and I think it looks pretty cool. A lot better than what it did, that's for sure. I'm actually kind of surprised that Mattel even made a Mirada Stocker, because the Mirada in real life only lasted from 1980 to 1983, and it was supposed to be Dodge's return to NASCAR. So Dodge met up with Richard Petty, and Petty did a little bit of work on the Mirada and took it out for a few test runs. They quickly realized that there were a couple of design flaws with the car, and although it looked aerodynamic, the max possible speed of the car was only 183 miles per hour. So Petty quickly moved away from the Mirada and went back to GM at the time. There were a couple of independent teams that ran Miradas for a few seasons, but never found much success as they weren't supported by Dodge. Dodge ended up not getting back into NASCAR until 2001. So, little interesting history about the Mirada. A very short run, but it was able to get a Hot Wheel. Sounds like Hot Wheels production kind of mirrored the production of Chrysler for this car. So, there you go. This paint scheme is based on a paint scheme that was run in 2010 and driven by A.J. Allmendinger. So there you have it. I had a really good time with this build, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. So, hope you guys enjoyed it as well, and leave a comment down below with what you think, and we will see you on the next one.